And that quote is, "Have the courage to be disliked." I knew I was a troublemaker when I was first called a troublemaker. I mean, it's a word, interestingly enough, I've been called for a lot of my life. I would say there was a chapter that I wrote in the book, and it's one of the chapters that people like to talk to me about, and it's called "The Three Iron That Saved My Life." And in it, I was a freshman in college, and to make a long story short, I had come back from college. I was at SMU and came back to my hometown in Arkansas, and there was a big man and a group of people out there, and he was about 6'3", and he reached back, and as I was leaving the game, I saw him. It just happened to be I timed it out. Reached back and he punched this girl in the face, little girl, smaller than me, and she fell back on a car. I can still see it. It was an old green Honda Accord, and put a dent in the hood. And as a golfer, I always carried my clubs in my trunk, and it was just instinctual. I went to my car, opened the door, and grabbed the 3-iron. And the next thing I knew, and there were literally 20 people around and nobody was doing anything. They were just watching, and I couldn't believe it. And this girl was in, tears, crying. I mean, he literally closed fist punched her. And I took the 3-iron, and I mean, I was an athlete, so I was strong, and I wasn't afraid of him, even though he's much bigger because, I mean, I had a golf club. And I went over there and and I'm cussing at him, and he grabs me by the throat, and I have the 3-iron in my left hand. I'm left-handed, and he reached down. I don't know what he was going after. I assumed that it was a rock, and the minute that he did that, I took the back of that hosel and hit him right in the shin, and it must have snapped. I mean, you heard this crunch, and he just ran off, and the girl ran into the gym. And I knew at that point, I was so furious at him. I was so worried about that little girl, but I was so angry at the people who were there and doing nothing about it. And to this day, it still affects me. It still bothers me because you see it all the time. You see people put out videos from the New York subway, and they're just videoing these horrible instances that are happening, like it's some form of entertainment. So I think from that day on, I knew that I didn't know what a troublemaker was at the age of 19 or 20, but I think I knew at that point that I would always stick my neck in the ring and do what I could to make anything better. Just a little side note, a lot of folks don't know this, and it's been a great source of inspiration. I love Nelson Mandela. A lot of people don't know that his African birth name translates to troublemaker, and he writes that in his memoir, A Long Walk to Freedom. And I just think how great, how inspirational is that for all of us who are trying to follow in the footsteps of Rosa Parks and so many great troublemakers who have been out there and doing good works, but to have the ultimate troublemaker in Nelson Mandela, who fought for freedom his whole life, and he did it peacefully, and he forgave his captors when he walked out of prison. It's a reminder and a message that we can make change, but we can't do it without, as he was, being a freedom fighter. We have to fight for it. And people get afraid of that word. It doesn't mean that you're putting on gloves or punching people. It just means that you're willing to get into the ring to do something to make it better, whatever that may take. And it's what you all are doing. And I really appreciate the good work that this organization is doing to spread the message and bring a community of good troublemakers together. One of the great parts about writing the book, especially in the aftermath, are the number of women who have reached out, who are really contemplating doing something and making a change in their own lives. And it's been one of the biggest blessings, I think, for me to connect to these folks and to be able to encourage them to stick up for themselves. So I have a website, lisacornwell.com. There is a contact page on there. If you have questions, you need an ally, you need a friend, you just need somebody to connect to, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to respond and to listen to your stories. That's what this is all about. We need allies, we need friends, we need supporters, and we need to encourage each other to continue trying to make the world a better place for all of us, especially the young girls. So I'm always available, and I really appreciate you all doing the work that you're doing through this great organization.